First story. My parents did nothing when my golden child sister tried to end me as an infant, burned me with cigarettes, and pushed me to commit self-harm until I cut ties with her. Now they demand that I reconcile with her, saying she is family. I lost it and simply said I would enter their house only when she either dies or moves out, before cutting ties with them too. So, this is going to be probably one of the longer posts you've seen on this sub, so feel free to scroll down, like now. I understand if this seems somewhat unbelievable, but my life is really plagued by this terrible human being, and I'm incredibly angry and bitter over it. So, ever since I can remember, I've had a terrible relationship with my older sibling. Let's call her M. M is a terrible person. I have literally never met a single person who is worse. Fun facts of things she has done. Physically and emotionally, she terrorized me and my parents, yes, including my father, for most of her life. Tried to kill me as an infant by leaving me in a bathtub full of ice water. She once trapped me and my physically handicapped mother in a room with a knife and began slicing at her wrists while looking at me in the eyes and telling me that 10-year-old me was the reason why she was doing it. Stolen thousands and thousands of dollars in savings, emergency funds, and jewelry from our once-upon-a-time working-class family, who is now struggling to buy basic necessities. I tried to kill my cat on more than one occasion for reasons unknown. Has pushed over my 60-year-old disabled mother and hit her on more than one occasion. Choked me out until I passed out on literally countless occasions, from when I was a small child until I was about 12 years old. Dragged me around our house by my hair, and then burned me with cigarettes. Further pushed my family into exorbitant poverty by stealing my parents' credit cards and maxing them out on clothes, food, parties, etc. I spent all my life telling myself that no one would ever love me, that all my friends were only friends out of pity or as a joke, and that the only thing I would amount to would be my self-harm note. This was told to me from as young as 7 years old to the present day. And there are many more things that I have chosen to repress. I have decided that she is nothing of mine. She is simply a garbage human being without a soul that happens to live in the same house. Oh yeah, she's nearing 30 years old and still lives at home rent-free despite having her own car and job. And she, while I was away at college, of course, because no way would I have let that happen, now has her boyfriend living with my parents. My point being, my parents and her are constantly hounding me to forgive her for all the things she has done. They ask, how can I say that she is no kin of mine? They tell me how family is the only thing in this world worth anything. And all three of them note that when my parents die, she will be the only thing left of our family in this world. The thing is, at least a dozen times in my lifetime, she has sworn that she has changed. She'll come to me crying about how much she regrets all the things she's done, and how she just wants us to not be full of hate. How she wants her kids to be able to call me their aunt is all kinds of bullshit tea. And she will act kind and buy me and my parents stuff, food, little things. Initially, I believed her. The first few times she pulled this, after about 2 weeks, she would steal more money, hit one of us, and just sink back into her old ways. And now I just know she's lying. I remember once, when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I went crying to them, asking them to choose between her or me. Either one of us had to leave the house, or I would lose my mind. And they said they couldn't choose. But ever since that day, it felt like they'd chosen her. I actually once attempted self-harm because she made me feel like I was worth nothing at all. There are very few people in this world I feel I can trust because of her voice in the back of my head. I doubt everything I do because of her. Now, my parents are accusing me of not giving her a chance to change. But how can I give this type of person a chance when I know they're a monster? I'm my parents' only defense against her, and yet they continue enabling her and allowing her to do whatever she wants. I'm tired of it. But I don't want my parents to fall deeper under her siren song. Leaving for school felt like the only way I could get away from her, but I feel like I've abandoned my parents. But it feels like they don't want help. And if they want her, I don't want to be around any of them. It would hurt me and F me up even more. What the F do I do? What can I do? My sister is an abuser, liar, manipulator, sociopath, thief, and B. Our parents want us to reconcile despite her not changing in any way. And I still hate her with all of my being for being the cause of every bad thing in my life. What do? Update. So a lot has happened. There's a TLDR at the bottom, because I'm well aware that the length of this post is a monster. Today is Wednesday. I got back for the summer last Thursday. And yesterday, Tuesday, SHT went down to an extreme. Basically, me and my sibling got into a huge argument over some dumb SHT again. And she sent me many nasty text messages, which included such gems as, everything was fine and dandy, and now that you're back, all my mom does is cry. That should tell you something about the negative energy and sadness you bring everywhere you go. And I'm paying for all my mistakes now. But you can never take back the horrible effing daughter and sibling you are. I can continue being dead to you, 'cause, at the end of the day, I have my family. And believe me, you are not part of it. You never have and never will be. This caused me to spiral pretty badly and have a complete nervous breakdown. My self-harming tendencies, as she put it, my being a self-harming slob, flared up more than they have in years. I felt worthless and less than. And I honestly wanted nothing more than to die to get away from her. I left the house, trying to figure out what to do and half hoping that I would somehow get hit by a car, a train, or a lightning bolt. After a few hours, I calmed down enough to return home, ready to receive physical abuse once more at her hands. Instead, she was asleep, and my mom was waiting for me in the kitchen. We began talking, and it got extremely emotional. I took the advice of people in the last thread, and I put my foot down very firmly. I told my mom plain out, I will not return to this house until she is dead, or until she has moved out. Whichever comes first. Marilyn has made it abundantly clear that I am not a part of this family, and that's fine with me. Obviously, that upset my mom heavily. She cried, begging me to reconsider, saying that I couldn't leave her alone. And I simply looked at my mom and told her I could never forgive my sibling for all that she had done. I remember everything. I retold my mom of the first time we found out my sibling cleaned out an account, how we were sitting in a Jules Osco parking lot, and I was sitting directly behind her. The time she hit my mother. The old phone we had on the dresser against the wall fell over, and my sister used that to hit my mom, who had been shielding me. I will never forget all the times my sister has laid a hand on me. To which my mom responded, "What?" And I repeated what I had said. I remember every single thing my sister has ever done to me. I remember every detail. I retold her why my hair is always up in a tight bun, because the last time I had my hair down in a long braid, my sister dragged me by my hair from my room to the laundry room, and then proceeded to beat me there. And my mom asked, "She's beat you?" So Reddit. For the next hour, I proceeded to break my mother's heart into a million pieces. Somehow, she never knew that my sister beat me growing up. I believed her when she said she didn't know, but at the same time, I couldn't believe she didn't know. My sister never hid from her doing that. It was always in the house. I don't know how she didn't see it. I asked my mom, "Do you remember when I smashed Marilyn's hand in the door to my room when I was 15? And she responded that yes, she did. So I asked, "Do you know why I did that?" And she said no, she didn't. And I told her, because she was choking me so hard, I couldn't breathe. I pushed away to get away from her, fell and hit the back of my neck against my bookshelf, and kicked the door close to stop her from grabbing me again. That's why her finger got messed up. Apparently, neither of my parents knew how much she tortured me growing up. My mom did know of the times that she locked me in the basement as a kid for hours on end in our old house, but she thought that was the extent of it. In my mother's words, anything I had left for her is gone now. I feel pretty terrible. My mom is begging me to forgive her, and I keep telling her that there's nothing to forgive, and that what happened happened. She keeps asking me what I thought of her growing up that she let this happen for so long, and I don't know how to answer her. I have never thought poorly of my parents, but I have grown angry in recent months. But that's only because I thought they knew. And they are not even that angry that they let it happen, but more angry that they keep trying to make us reconcile. I never could have imagined they didn't know. I just kept asking her, "Why do you think I hate her so much? Why do you think I never felt comfortable opening up to anyone here? Why do you think I was never at home? Why was I so scared of her?" And my mom said she never knew. She just thought that's how I was, that I was different. She saw that I changed, but never knew why. And I simply told her that it was because my sister took away my childhood from me. She asked me, "Do you think I would have let it happen had I known?" And I just shrugged because I didn't know what to say. She always told us to never fight as siblings. I was to never raise a hand against my sibling. I thought that just meant that I wasn't allowed to fight back, because that was putting myself on her level. They always said that family came first, no matter what. I truly meant that, no matter what included extreme abuse, too. But apparently, that's not what she meant. I keep having to console her, which feels weird. I tried to make her feel better by saying, "The person I am today is because of her, flaws and all." The next part is where I realized I messed up. The reason why I fight to try to make things better for other people is because no one fought for me. I realize now that although I say that whenever I talk about what happened to me to my mom, it probably sounds like I'm saying she didn't fight for me, which probably made her feel worse. Near the end, she just looked at me and said, "Everything's starting to make sense now." And I forgot about this story. But apparently when I was like 7 or 8, I went to Puerto Rico with my dad, and I threw the one and only tantrum I had ever thrown. I did not want to go back home. I was desperate to stay with my family in PR, because they were one of the first families I had been exposed to. That was truly kind to me. And me doing that finally made sense to my mom, now that she knows about my sister. I don't know how to feel. Reddit. At the end of our 2-hour-long conversation, my mom looked at me and said, "I won't stop you if you don't want to come home anymore. I understand now. I'll resolve the problem, and hopefully you'll feel safe coming home someday." She said she'd never forgive herself until the day she died. But I thought she knew. This isn't what I wanted. I'm glad she understands me better now. But I didn't, and I don't want her to feel like a terrible mother for not knowing. I thought she knew all this time. I feel better that they're no longer going to push the idea of reconciliation. But this isn't how I wanted that. My mom also wants me to see a therapist, which I am kind of against due to money issues, and the fact that therapists never worked on my sister. So I don't see how they'll work for me. TLDR. I told my parents I was no longer going to come home after this summer, until my sibling was either dead or moved out, whichever came first. My mom kept trying to push the issue of reconciliation. I kept telling her that I could never forgive her and explained that the extreme emotional, mental, and physical abuse was too much for anyone, let alone a child. It turns out neither of my parents knew about the physical abuse, and I had apparently dropped a bombshell with no warning. My mom feels like a terrible mother, which is not what I want her to feel at all. She understands why I hate my siblings so much now, but she feels like I must hate my parents too, which is not true. I'm glad. I guess that she is no longer going to try to push us to love each other. But I feel like utter garbage for not knowing that they didn't know. I don't know how they didn't, and they don't know how they didn't know either. Sorry for such a long post. I've had a really long night. I don't know what's going to happen anymore. I just felt like updating, both for the few people who read my previous post, and because I need some goddamn way to debrief from this nightmare. If anyone has any advice to give, it would be much appreciated. Mostly because I have no clue where to go from here. In the comments. I am rather overwhelmed by the outpouring of support from this subreddit. I left to distress with a friend and most definitely did not expect so many people to care, I guess. Thank you all so much. To address a few questions and concerns. I have now realized that there is simply no way that my mother did not see it. I remembered a few other repressed incidents where my sister harmed me in public, and my mom was there. I'm not going to lie. It hurts. It took a lot to realize that my mom's words last night were rather empty. I still love her and my dad deeply, but there is simply no way they didn't know. It's literally impossible. I am realizing that maybe I shouldn't forgive my parents. Thank you for making me realize this, Reddit. My sister has been examined by professionals. I thought it was only once, but apparently she has been committed to psychiatric wards or mental hospitals twice. In addition to that, she has been examined by 2 psychiatrists or psychologists. Though my mom says there were more than the 2 I remember. None of them have found anything wrong with my sister, which is where my hesitancy to pursue help from mental health professionals comes from. It feels like if they couldn't find what was wrong with her, then how could they be trusted to fix what was wrong with me? I know it's dumb and it's juvenile, but it's been the thinking I've carried with me my whole life. I will pursue help soon, though, I promise. No one has asked about my dad, but I feel the need to be transparent about that too. My dad has always worked a minimum of 3 jobs his entire life. I normally only see him between 7 and 10 am. And then when he gets home from work at around 2 am, so if anyone didn't see it, it was definitely my dad. With the bathtub thing, my mom was the one who rescued me and told me about it fairly recently. All you're pointing out that she could not know how my sister was based on this, as well as the phone incident, is what made me realize that there was no way she could not have known. My parents raised me very differently from my sister. My parents never raised a hand against either of us, as both my grandfathers on both sides were abusive alcoholics, and neither my mom nor dad wanted to do that to us. My sister has never been sawed or hurt in similar ways. She was, in fact, spoiled heavily growing up by both my parents. They did not spoil me because they saw the thing that doing so turned her into. This has been another big question for all 3 of us, my dad, mom, and me. We simply do not understand why my sister is the way she is. Nothing was done to her to make her that way. And yet, My mother suggested the therapist because I explained to her how terrible my sister has made me feel. I doubt I've made this clear, but I honestly feel like everything terrible in my life comes as a result of my sister. Every single thing I do, I hear her voice in the back of my head. It says, "Are you sure about that? Do you really think people care about what you have to say? Or, those people aren't really your friends. They're just here because they want to make fun of you. Or, do you really think anyone will love someone as effed up as you?" The voice has gotten quieter in recent years, but it came roaring back last night. This is the biggest part of me that I need to get rid of. The cops have only been called to our house once. It was when my sister hurled plates all over the house, and the neighbors called for us. My parents made up some bullshit excuse. I honestly don't remember what it could have been, and I remember the cops seemed very hesitant to leave. They did not speak to me directly. I just hid in my room. This is probably another big example of my parents enabling. CPS also came to my house once. On my 14th birthday, it was a bad birthday. I was in 8th grade, I remember. This was because one of my good friends snitched on a teacher, I guess, after the cigarette burn incident. I remember I lied through my teeth, and obviously so did my sister. My mom did. We did talk about it last night, and my mom was just like, "I thought that brat was making everything up. I never thought it was true. That's why I was so angry at the time." For the record, my mom was incredibly angry at the situation, but I thought it was at me. Apparently, an important point that I missed with the PR story is that apparently I had locked myself in a bathroom at my cousin's house and was screaming about how I didn't want to go home because I was scared my sister was going to kill me. So, yeah, I had my sister on Facebook when I first got on the site, but I quickly removed her. I do not have her on any type of social media at all. She is blocked on all of them. When she sent me those texts yesterday, I did block her number for a few hours, but then unblocked it shortly after. I will follow through on keeping it blocked. The way that my mom said, "The problem will be resolved," makes me think that she's going to find some way to kick Marilyn out. But as another Redditor said, deeds, not words. It's actually kind of sad upon reflection. But that's the standard I've always held my sister up to whenever she said she would change. I would tell her that I would only accept her maybe changing someday when I saw her out of the house and not being an F-up. I just never extended that same expectation to my parents, I guess. I don't know how to explain the gratitude I feel towards this subreddit now. I know that they're just empty words on the internet that shouldn't mean much. But it's honestly making me bawl, like when I was a kid, to just think that people think I should have been protected. I always thought that, but I never thought I truly deserved it. To this day, to be honest, a small part of me thinks that maybe I do deserve everything that has happened to me. Every day, it gets smaller. Today, it got a lot smaller, thanks to you all. Thank you so much, our relationships. Edit. Forgot the CPS, cops, and action from here on out. Second story. Entitled wife left me after getting into shape and filed for divorce. Now, 1 week before our divorce was finalized, she came back begging to reconcile, then asked to meet one last time for closure, which I refused as she didn't deserve it. I am not sure why I am posting this. I probably want some validation, as my life has turned upside down recently. I 32M was married to my wife 33F for 4 years, and we have had a great marriage so far. I was madly in love with my wife. She fell into depression, mainly due to her job in 2022. I tried to support her in every way and suggested she go to the gym or do any kind of sport to distress. I had my own depression episode before we got married, and what saved me was going to the gym. She agreed to that, and we started going there together. I could not go as frequently as in the past since my workload got heavier after my promotion. However, I tried my best to be there with her. She used to be a bit chubby, which I loved, and after seeing some changes in her body, she started to go there regularly. It also helped her with depression, and she got better. I was really happy to see her get better and livelier. She looked more confident, got more aggressive in bed, and so on. However, after a while, that confidence level started to affect our relationship for the worse. She started going to the parties and going outside, to the point where she completely stopped doing her share in the house. That proceeded with me seeing her get it with a guy at a meetup we went to. I communicated my feelings to her, and she dismissed them. After several of these, I had her sit down with me and tell me that she was riding high on her newly found confidence and emotions right now. I clearly stated she should not make decisions or actions according to that confidence right now. I know it well. It was one of my worst traits. I used to be extremely emotionally driven in the past. I suggested we go to a marriage counselor, and hell broke loose. She said vile things to me, like how she realized she settled down with me after getting better, and that she could do much better than me. She said I was insecure and other things. This woman used to be the sweetest person on earth, and I was shocked after hearing the things she said to me. She filed for divorce the following month, and I did not hear much from her other than some lawyer talks. Our court hearing is scheduled for next month, and my lawyer told me there is a high chance it'll be concluded then. There is not much to share. Similar income, only shared assets are our joint account, similar savings, and no kids. My house is my mom's, so it's out of division. I accepted that my marriage was going to end like that. Last week, she called crying and told me she regretted everything. She apologized over and over again, but I felt disappointed. Not angry, not sad, but just disappointed. She has not texted me or called me even once since the divorce started. I did not even know where she was since she had just left the house. I told her there was no going back now. She has been messaging me non-stop. My family supports my decision and tells me I should not back down. My in-laws were shocked when they heard about the divorce. They are now telling me to rethink everything. I will 99.9% not back down. But as I said, I was just looking for validation and maybe wanted to vent. Thank you for reading. Comments. OP replying to a deleted comment. I did not even understand why she left me after getting in shape. I am in shape, too. It's not like I was overweight. It has been a while since we went to the gym before we started together. But I was not in bad shape at all. I could probably get back to my shredded years with 1 year of regular workouts. Firecracker048. This is it. She got just small talk, enjoyed getting hit on, and just let this random dude smooth talk her into leaving her husband. Basic classy. I doubt the guy wanted her to leave her husband. He just wanted to tap it. Base to mouth. I'm a personal trainer at a private strength gym. You are 100% right. I've seen this happen so many times. These people get a little bit fit, and all of a sudden start making rash decisions based on their newfound sense of worth. I can't even count the number of married women who have tried to sleep with me. Maniacs. It didn't work out with the better guy she wanted to leave you for, so now she wants to go back to the safe option. You loved her when she was chubby, and she wanted to throw that away for guys who probably only liked her for her new looks. You're right not to take her back. Firecracker048. This is it exactly. She was talking with someone else, and she jumped ship to get with the better person. She either got a reality check after the high she was on wore off, or she saw who this person really was and quickly realized what she did. Judgment. NTA. Update. 6 weeks later. We are officially divorced. There was not much to share, so it went smooth as butter, according to my lawyer. I've never talked to her other than through lawyers, as much as she wanted me to. She tried to talk to me one-on-one and get closure, but I just do not want that. It's not that I do not care why she left me or what she did during that time. I just do not want to know. I've been living without her for months now. At first, it was difficult, and I cried all night some days, but after a few months, I feel like I have come to accept everything. What peace will it give to learn what and why when I already accept everything other than hurting me? For once, I want to prioritize my peace of mind in this whole process. My parents and friends are here to support me, and I am glad that I have such a great support circle. As for what my plans are, renovate my office room in the house, get back to the gym, and live my best life. I've been wanting to renovate my office room for a while now, and that's what I'll start with. I started hitting the gym at the same time. I believe my body is good, but I have some extra fat. Dieting proved itself difficult because I am a tiramisu addict. For the dating part, I uploaded a few apps and tried out how I was doing. I got a decent number of matches, but I realized I do not feel like doing it right now. I'll focus on my own hobbies, well-being, and wants for now. Thank you for all the support and help in the last post. Comments. Choo-choo_. When the person who chooses to leave wants closure, just shut the door and keep it shut. They only want to make themselves feel better about their decision, no matter how badly it screws you over. There are bigger and better things to look forward to. OP. All the best. Firecracker048. It sounds like she did realize how badly she messed up, and was going to try and convince him to take her back after she ran away and had her fun. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it all started with just small statements made to her at the gym, and she just ran with them from there. Oringyager. Evil tiramisu, it better be worth those extra calories. OP, it's just too good. I can't. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.